What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Hamlet, and this video right here is gonna be about the breakdown that one of my trucks had. All right, this breakdown was what I kind of mentioned briefly in this other video. Pretty much kind of taking care of business or whatnot. Because essentially what happened was the bearing or the hub got worn out and essentially caused the wheel to pretty much just about come off. And I wasn't near the truck when this happened. This is just my driver talking to me, and you know, I'm walking through with him over the phone, like what has been going on and all the description and pictures of the stuff that he's describing to me, so that I can make the proper move, or you know, the proper decision of how I'm gonna handle this matter. Essentially, the truck was up in Plattsburgh, New York, which is, well, Potsdam, New York, which is way up New York, like, I mean, like about an hour away from Canada. So, of course, typically where the breakdowns happen, you're like nowhere near a service spot, or you know, a mechanic shop or anything. The closest place that I think could probably handle this kind of work was the Watertown Spring and Alignment. And you know, me being from Watertown, it wasn't too far away from my house. I actually was on the road that time though, and I was driving with another guy. I got out the truck and I rented a U-Haul, and essentially I rented a U-Haul so that I could put the tools in, and I decided to go ahead and get a axle out a junkyard. And from there I put the axle inside the U-Haul. I went to my buddy's house and he had some tools. If not, I would have had to. I drove to Ohio to pick up all my tools, which, you know, I was in PA, like in the middle of PA already, in Hazleton. So it would have just added a little bit of more driving time for myself. The one thing I did learn from this video was, well, from this experience, you know, of if I have to rent another truck like that just to, you know, bring equipment and to bring parts or whatever, I'll rent it from Budget, because Budget has unlimited miles, versus this U-Haul, after a certain amount of miles, it was charging me X amount of miles per day. The total bill came out just for the U-Haul truck was about $700, and that was to me it was expensive, but it still was well worth the trouble of doing this repair myself, because I have saved thousands, and I will talk about that briefly. But essentially, you know, I didn't have to do this repair. It's not that I was broke or anything like that, but I seen a chance where my skills were better matched to fix this myself than to be driving a truck, because in my company per se, because I broke it down by numbers, and I'm going to show you guys of how much this repair could possibly have cost. And it's not going to be a far-fetched number, it's not going to be a high number, it's going to be more of a realistic number. And that's typically what drawn me to do this work myself. Now, mind you, the experience that I have has only been working on cars. Before trucking, I never have done, you know, any real major work. Obviously tearing the truck apart in the previous videos, but doing a front axle, this would be my first like front axle, especially like a service call, where I pretty much kind of go out and I got to know in my mind what tools I'm going to need and what parts I'm going to need to be able to perform the work, and not have to do a million trips running back and forth getting either extra tools or extra parts. You know, it's kind of like when you do this kind of work, it's like a one-shot deal. You got to make sure you get the right proper tools and the right proper parts. So you do kind of need some experience or knowledge, at least knowledge, on what you're actually going to be repairing when you do over-the-road service work. Alright, so the breakdown is going to be what I'm going to be talking about right now is alright, so the breakdown is going to be right now, I have here written out roughly what I've thought in my experience after paying so many repairs and just shop time and maybe days lost. I'm going to come up with a figure amount of actually what this have cost me and what this could have cost me, right? So right now the truck was sitting about 80 miles away from a possible place that it get this done, right? Not saying that they couldn't get it done, it's just a possible place, right? Because we're dealing a lot here with the unknown, right? So I came up here with figures here. I'll try to fold this up and put this on here. So right here, I know this is going to be backwards for you guys, but the tow would have been about $1,500, all right? $1,500, about 80 miles. That's to tow a truck and trailer. Typically, that's roughly what you're gonna pay, you know. And then, you know, once the truck gets brought to the shop, you know, you're gonna be dealing. I already knew that the truck would need a new spindle, right? There's two ways that I could have gone about this. Whether I would be replacing the whole axle, which is not needed, but it's just a way to kind of, how do I say it? It's just a different way of handling things, just because of the way parts cost, the way parts cost, and the way you would do something, right? Like, it's like saying, you know, you had a whole door, right, that was bad, and let's just say a trailer backed into one of your doors, right, and the glass broke, the motor is not working for the window to go up and down, then you're gonna need body work, and then you're gonna need to take your truck is gonna have to be down because you can't drive without a door, right? So imagine all these costs and compare that kind of cost when you can go and buy a door that's used off another truck that's in a junkyard. It's probably gonna be more cheaper for you to get that door off the junkyard, and you can still paint it and all, but now getting that door, your truck doesn't really have to be down because you just got to rip it off from another truck, right? I hope that kind of makes sense in this aspect. So I could have either replaced the whole axle, I could have repaired the individual parts that make up the axle, right? Repairing the individual parts that make up of the axle will oversee how much money I'm willing to pay, or just oversee just getting the axle from the junkyard, how I spent $500. Now we're gonna talk about repairing the parts individually of the axle, right? So right here we got the breakdown, all right? And this is not a crazy breakdown. This is a very simple breakdown. The spindle is what had got messed up, and the hub got messed up. So we would need a new spindle, and we're talking about just one side right now, right? The spindle would cost about $1,000. One hub would be about $400. You would need a new kingpin to put in because there's no sense in putting the old one back in when you take it out. So that's another maybe $200, $400 for the set. Then you need $150 to replace the brake drum and brake shoe, right? Because that got messed up. And then $150 for a cross tube, right? That's the thing that got bent when the wheel pretty much came off. So that's $1,900 just one side. Now we're just talking about parts here, and assuming that this side got bad like this, you can only assume that the other side is on its way out, just very similar like this. You know, you replace kingpins in a set. I personally would replace bearings in a set, you know, and seeing that the wheel pretty much came off on one side, I definitely want to do both sides. So $1,900, you want to times that by 2, and you get about $3,800. Now these are just all estimates, you know, rough estimates. I haven't actually gotten prices for, but I got a rough price for just a spindle. I mean, let alone just shopping around will get these numbers maybe a little bit better or a little bit more expensive, just depending where you get the spindle at. Because the spindle just directly from the dealer cost $1,800, and from me looking on eBay, I was able to find it for $1,000. That's a big difference here, especially if you got to do it on both sides. So easily, parts alone, $3,800 for both sides. Now, because we didn't do that, all right, sorry about this. All right, so $3,800 parts alone. Now we can just guesstimate the labor. Let's just say 20 hours of labor, you know, and if you're spending about $100 an hour at a shop, that's about $2,000. Add that up, that's $5,800. Now, could you imagine how much money you're gonna need in tax? $400, who knows? Plus the $1,500. So if we're at $6,000 with the parts and labor, then another $1,500. We're at $7,500, all to just repair an axle. Now, remember that number, $7,500 to tow the truck to a shop, to have them, repair the individual parts and all that. Let's compare this now. $600 for the U-Haul. $450 in parts and supplies. That was rags, that was the brake shoes and drums, and new hub oil, and the hub cover, and new U-bolts. $500 on the axle from the junkyard. $150 in gas, and $200 in extra tools that I had to buy because I didn't bring the extra tools. That came out to $1,900. Now, let's talk about time, right? Because time is a very important deal. Very, very important deal on breakdowns and in just trucking in general. The time that truck is down is the time that you're not generating money, your business not generating money and generating a profit. So days lost, right? Let's break it down. It took me about 2 days to get to the truck and get the parts and all that, and for that truck to get up and running, right? So 2 days. Let's compare shops, right? It would take 1 day to get that truck towed, right? Because you're gonna lose about 4 hours from the guy unbolting the drive shaft and, reconnecting the drive shaft when he gets there, getting a truck to come out there, and dispatching a truck to come out there, and all this, so you're gonna easily waste a day. And by the time the truck gets actually checked into the shop, then you're gonna waste another day in just waiting in line to get into the shop, right? Because it's not a common occurrence where you come into the shop and you'll be the first guy that they tend to. More than likely not. You're gonna be like, well, get in line. We have 5 trucks behind you, and these trucks need all this, so we're not gonna probably touch your truck till tomorrow, right? So I'm just being generous and saying just 1 day you have to wait, to get queued into the shop. Day 3, shop finding out what it actually needs, right? That's the time the mechanic brings your truck into the shop and he starts tearing things apart, and he's like, okay, well, we're gonna need this and this. Then day 4, right? They're gonna start ordering the parts. They're gonna start getting an estimate to you. They're gonna say, okay, it's gonna be this much, because we found out we can get this part from here, woody woody woo, and all that, right? Day 5, start removing the stuff. And we're just gonna say we waited overnight for the parts that they couldn't get to come in through the mail. So that was day 5. Day 6, the parts come in, they finish installing everything, and by day 7, everything was getting a test drive and make sure everything was good. So 1 week it would take at about what, 7,500 versus 2 days or 3 days at $1,900. That's what went on in my mind when I decided to do this work myself. And I can only I wanted to break it down like this so that you guys would understand, as a business owner or as a owner op, understand the cost of all these different things and how much it would have cost for you to do this yourself or have a shop do it, or just having a different way of doing it. Now, a different way we could have done about it, right? If you don't have the experience to do something like this, you could have easily gotten the axle and brought it to a shop and had them install it, right? So then you would deal with $1,900, maybe with $2,000 in labor, right? So that you would essentially be saving yourself about $2,000 or $3,000, you know, compared to doing it yourself, $7,500 and $2,000, and then saving $5,000, right? So it's a big difference, you know. I think it's a big difference. Plus, you got to consider the time, you know. Always got to consider the time. How long is your truck going to be down for? How long do you need to send a guy home, or do you need to put a person in a hotel for? You know, that's another cost, you know. And you have to pay them breakdown pay if they're going to be sitting in a hotel getting paid. So all these different things you have to take in accountability when you take an L or when you get a breakdown. You know, you have to think about all the things, you know. Don't rush. You know, obviously if you're stuck on the side of the road and you're blocking traffic, you kind of got to get towed at least to a safe spot, you know, so that maybe you can stop and think about the decisions that you're going to do, because every little thing out here is out to get your money, right? Whether it be the shop, whether it be the towing company, everybody's out here to get your money. And just make sure that you're spending your money in the right places, and for the right reasons, and not spending too much money, right? Because there's only a certain amount of time before you're going to take another L. And if you're just out here dumping thousands and thousands of dollars left and right, well, the bank is going to dry up soon. Just straight up honest, you know, or you're not going to be just making as much money as you want, because you're going to be putting money right back into the truck, right? Now, this could happen to any truck, used truck or new truck, you know. If there is no, you know, if the drivers are not, I'm not going to blame drivers for this, you know, but if you're not checking the hub oil to make sure that there's oil inside the hubs, if you're not looking for signs of wear on the tires, you know, you got another thing coming. So this can happen easily to a completely new truck, you know, but the possibilities of happening are much lower than are on a used truck. I will say that. But let's not get it twisted. It can happen to any truck, all right? So anyways, hope you guys understand the whole mathematics behind that, and why I chose to do that job myself and save myself $5,000. Essentially, I made $5,000 because the trucks were still running, and I happened to be in the area, luckily, and the truck got done faster than it would have taken a shop to do. So anyways, let's look at the video. Don't forget, mash the subscribe button, mash the like button. Let me know how you think. Let me know what you think about this video. And this is the real owner op stuff, dealing with real world scenarios, only on this channel and SoCal's channel too. Don't forget, check out the SoCal Trucker group on Facebook as well. SoCal Trucker Gang group on Facebook, where we talk about a lot of stuff, and I share stuff like this breakdown before uploading it onto YouTube. So anyways, it's your boy Hamlet. Let's watch out what we got going on here. All right, what's up, guys? So we are here at the junkyard. We just got here to the Fleet Pride, and we're gonna go ahead and get these brake drums and shoes so we can and get some hub oil so we can do what we need to do to install this thing. We might even look into these hub piloted rims they got here. So let's check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, folks, so we got the parts loaded up. We got our new lug nuts, right? We got 20 of them, 10 per side, and we needed those because we were switching over from non-piloted to piloted wheels because it's a newer style axle and the truck is a 95. Alrighty, And go along with that, we got 2 new rims in the back here. We got some hub cover, some hub oil, and new hub covers. We got the shoe kit for the actual brakes and some grease. New U joints going in. I mean U joints, U bolts. Excuse me. All right. And then we got the new brake drums and the brake shoes right there. So we are ready to rock and roll. And there's a little close up of the axle that we're putting in. This is like a newer style axle. You can see that it's pretty new. Very minimal rust on here compared to the one that we're going to be taking out. You can still see like there's a lot of the stickers are in here original. You know, and showing you that this is a pretty new axle on here. So I'm pretty excited to go ahead and put this on. And we already confirmed the U-bolts fit there, and should be a direct swap to put this all in. And I'm hoping to get this truck up and running here in the next 4 hours. Check y'all later.
In half a mile, take exit 4 for US 11 South.
And just look at this thing. The grease is all over. See up in there? Oh my god, it's not even connected anymore. It looks like the axle nut is... Wow, this is fucking insane right here. The axle nut is completely back there. And wow. Let's see what we got going on here. We're gonna probably back this thing up, get it to a little bit better spot. And we're doing this right here in Shopping Plaza. We got this little cloud over us, so let's even get some work done to it and get this going. We open this up and check this out, man. This thing is like, I mean, the axle nut is no longer on the hub. The hub is like just torn up. And yeah, man, this thing's a mess. Like, and then check this out. I don't know if you can see it there, but you can see it on the other side. Look at that. That thing is bent. I don't know if you can see it, but you see how it's not, it's like this. Yep. The cross tube is bent. So yeah, we're gonna get her in, and first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and we're gonna lift from the axle itself with some bottle jacks, get her up as high as we can, remove the wheels. That wheel is probably just gonna fall off the minute we jack this thing up, because that's literally what it seems like, just hanging on by its thread. Anyways, we'll get to it. All right, that's pretty good. We got this tire lifted off the ground. You still put your whole hand under here, so we're gonna go ahead and put the jack stand on this side and then lift up the other side. Go for it. So, the wheel is just hanging on by a slide right now. Pretty sure, finish jacking this up, it's just gonna fall right off. you have it. This hub has been chewed the hell out, and the nut was still on there, but I think this is a piece of the hub right there. It just came off, and you see the bearings and the shoes and all that. So now what we're gonna do is put the jack stand on there, and we're gonna disconnect the drag link right here and move that out of the way and cut the U-bolts, and we're almost there, almost at halfway point. All right. Alrighty, let's drop this baby. Watch out. Alrighty, she is fully supported. Wheels are off. And we're gonna disconnect this drag link right now. Hey, could you pass the sledge? There's a small sledge and a big sledge.
I had this last so we can have it lost yet.
It's big as fuck. Alrighty. Now, this drag link right here is a joint. You have to hit it here on the side on the ear, right? And then what you want to do is get this nut and just bottom it out so the top of this is flush, right? Top of this is flush so you don't damage the threads, because we're going to be reusing this arm here, the drag link, sorry. So you make sure it's flush a little bit more. All right, it's completely flush, so when we hit the hammer here a couple times, we're gonna hit it at the top, and it's gonna drop this joint off, and we're not gonna damage the threads, and then we'll know it's done because this little gap right here will be done. All right. Go ahead, hit the big sledge right here on the ear. No, not the top. Do the side right here, and then do the top there. No. The side, bro. Right here. Give it one good whack at the top. It's not ready yet. All right, let me take a couple whacks at it. Enough wax. We got this baby out. And of course it's gonna start spinning on me. All right, so we went ahead and disconnected the drag link. Alrighty, you see that? We're gonna probably have to get a new drag link, just because I don't like the way this one looks too much. And right now we're gonna go ahead and cut the U-bolts. Got a cheap generator from Harbor Freight right there, okay? I actually didn't do it, but you can. It's literally $89. We got this little cheap generator right here and a grinder. We're gonna cut those U-joints off. I mean, U-joints, keep calling U-joints, U-bolts. And get ready to drop this axle. All right. Yeah.
Like that, dude?
You just need to get it over this hoop if it's possible.
The whole thing is sliding though, that's the thing. The hoop is coming with it.
She is done. Alright, we're ready to cut the U-bolts out. Now we just gotta get these out, and axle is pretty much out the axle, the old one, she's right there. So essentially right now we're ready to bring in this new one right here. We got the cherry picker out here, and we're gonna set it down and then grab it from the middle and then bring it over to the truck. I'm gonna set it down. Holy shit, this is quick. I'm taking a quick break. We'll go here in this Harbor Freight. The main thing on these axles, right, is the centering pin. You want to make sure that centering pin is in the same spot. If not, well, about to drill in a new centering pin. That centering pin is very crucial and very safety, because it essentially provides like a physical limitation of where that axle sits, right? When you're going down the road and you're hitting bumps and everything, this little, you see that little indentation on this block? That indentation needs to be grooved in the axle so that when you're hitting these bumps, that little thing stops it, right? Of course, you got the U-bolts holding down the axle, but that really provides a means of, what do you call it, stopping the actual axle from shifting forward or backwards. Pretty big safety thing. So right now I'm gonna drill it out. I gotta go buy a drill because I didn't bring the drill. I didn't not account for this. So let's see what we got going on here. All right, so we are drilling out the centering pin for this axle. Okay, you can see I got some scribing here. What I did is I had a punch that I used right here. These crayons weren't worth a shit, and I got a combination square. Essentially, I wanted to make sure that this hole, this new hole I was drilling, lined up with the hole that was already there. This block here, you can see this block sits on the axle. All right, this little pin is what stops the, not what stops, but like pretty much censors the axle and prevents any shifting or movement of the axle on the leaf spring. So I had to drill this out here because this axle didn't have this. This is not going to affect the integrity or the strength or anything. Different axles have different holes for, you know, different applications. Essentially what I'm doing is no different what a manufacturer would already be doing by drilling out this hole here. And I'm not even drilling it out too deep, because you can see that only goes down by 1/4 of an inch, or, you know, an eighth or whatever. So now I'm just, you know, using a bunch of different drill bits to step them up until I get to the size of 7/8. It's pretty much like a 7/8 hole, and we're getting there slowly but surely. And this side is already done, and you can see that when I put this on there, it sits nice and flat. You see that there, all right? Because otherwise, if you don't do this, this is what you're gonna have. It's not gonna be sitting flush. All right, see that? So, almost done. Just gotta get a couple more passes through the drill on this, all right? All right, now we're just lifting this thing up. We got the new axle in place, and we're just lifting this up to remove the jack stands. Alright, so right now we got this all hooked up. We're lifting it up. It's giving us some assistance to lift this axle up. The other end is still on the ground. You can see we got our new U-bolts. And we're just snugging this up as much as we can. Everything's still a little bit loose. This is just going to help us suspend the axle in place. Once we get this just a little snug, we're going to go ahead and lift that other end and get them snug, and then we do that, put the jack in the middle, get it nice and tight, and then go ahead and run the bolts down and all that. Okay. You can see I'm just putting down these bolts, right, these nuts right down there. Alrighty. Put these new roller pins in. Then let's just make sure brakes are all the way out.
I lost the steering for a second. I thought I hit a low spot in the road. And then when I got to town, it started grinding.
Thank God. It's hot in here. Okay, I won't bother you so we can get it done.
Okay. Get our last little pins here. Alright, all you gotta do is take a good whack with the hammer. There she goes. Just gonna clean it up a little bit. hub cover here. New gasket. There we go. And there she goes. Now we're gonna make sure when we tighten this, we kind of go in a star pattern to make sure this is fully seated before we do our final tightness. This should really be torqued down to spec, but we don't have a torque wrench right now, so just gonna do the best we can to get some even applied force on all these bolts. You might want to start using pry bar. Then, final step, open up the cover. Put some new grease. You know you have enough when you got a little sight glass and you're just gonna have it up to the top. This fluid got to get a little bit warm, expand, and you're gonna have to add some later on after 50 miles or 100 miles or so to make sure it's fully serviced. We'll get some more rags to clean this up, and this is done here. We'll get to put the drum on. Big Bertha's coming. We'll worry about adjusting brakes once we connect the air hose and get some air applied and all that. Tighten up the U-bolts and we'll be good to go. Tighten up the last bit of lug nuts and we're freaking done. This is a little torque multiplier tool you can get on eBay. It's pretty cheap, and it's pretty much giving you the extra oomph to tighten up those lug nuts. And we're done here. We got this wheel all installed with the new hub cover. We bought new lug nuts here, and we filled these up and everything. So we're pretty much done here. Got new brakes in there. Oh yeah. So pretty soon here we're gonna be able to jack her down and get it going. And that is a wrap, folks. We are done here. Wow. So we're finally done. Get ready to put all these things back inside of this U-Haul, and take a quick trip to the house and check the mail, and go bring my buddy back some of his tools, all right? And then go ahead and pick up the next load for tomorrow. See ya, folks.